Well, less than 2 weeks. I know everyone starts the show less than 2 weeks, but we did it anyway. I hate cliches. I hate doing that, but 13 days. You know, they're trying to kill Twitter, trying to kill X. It's scandalous. Mark my words. This will be buried by the mainstream media, but we're going to dig right into this, something very important to everyone watching right now. Whatever you think about these people on the left, it's far worse. Whatever you think Democrats are up to, it's far worse. And whatever you think the left is plotting in this dark globalist corners of the world, it's far, far worse. More far-reaching than you can even imagine. Leaked documents expose CCDH's plan to kill Musk's Twitter, I'm quoting, ahead of the U.S. election. Leaked documents from the Center for Countering Digital Hate, CCDH, reveal that their primary goal is to kill Musk's Twitter by targeting advertising and leveraging European regulations. And when you hear this, just about this tangled web and how tangled it really is and how far-reaching it is, then you may fully understand what we mean when we refer to the globalists and the deep state. So this CCDH, the British non-profit organization, hosted a private meeting with liberal groups who are against Elon Musk and his free speech platform, X, including in this group, listen to this, representatives from the Biden White House, Congressman Adam Shifty Schiff, his office, the Biden-Harris State Department, and Media Matters for America. What an alliance. It's like the UN on woke steroids. But before we get into the gory details, let's just remember how we got here and why they hate Elon Musk and his version of Twitter so very much. They really have declared war on our freedom of speech, so much so that they have a multi-pronged approach to rid us or eliminate our ability to convey our opinions. And the easiest way to do that is to destroy any form or platform that we have to express our First Amendment rights of free speech. When Elon Musk took over Twitter, now X, he did so carrying a kitchen sink, the absolutely perfect metaphor. Elon meant business. He was going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at fixing Twitter. Mind you, he spent a whopping $44 billion of his own money to do so. He literally put his money where his and our mouth is. The First Amendment was back, baby. He removed blocks on conservative voices. He trimmed the fat. Whoever left Twitter as a result of Elon Musk taking over the place was absolutely welcome to leave. And Donald Trump was welcome to come back, an invitation he only recently took Elon Musk up on after he launched, Trump launched Truth Social, but he came back finally. But who whined and cried the most when Elon saved Twitter from censorship and repression of free speech? Well, the left did. Democrats did. They had no interest whatsoever in a true public forum, a platform for expression of various opinions. Remember, they hate, despise, and cannot handle opinions that vary from their very woke agenda. After all, it worked so well for them when they needed it. Suppression, remember this? Suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, remember that? As you wish, Department of Justice, punishing differing opinions on COVID treatment. Remember those? Vaccines, lockdowns, various mandates. You're out of here. You were shunned from the public forum. You can't have a difference of opinion from them. And we're talking doctors, esteemed scientists, and journalists, stuff Karl Marx would be proud of. Remember when former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey denied that there were shadow bans on Twitter, basically lying through his teeth to Congress in testimony. But then he had a chance to change his answer. Well, here he is in 2018, again, lying through those very expensive teeth.
Social media is being rigged to censor conservatives. Is that true of Twitter?
No.
I don't know what Twitter is up to. It sure looks like to me that they're censoring people, and they ought to stop it. Are you censoring people?
No.
Twitter shadow banning prominent Republicans. It's bad. Is that true?
No.
No, lie. No, another lie. No, lie again. Lie, lie, lie. When the groundhog sees its shadow, it's a sign that the next 6 weeks will bring wintry weather. When a conservative sees his shadow ban, it's a sign you're all being lied to, and it's jail o'clock for them. So it turns out that all along, it wasn't Russia collusion, as we now know, but it was Twitter collusion. The Ministry of Truth from George Orwell's 1984 is, in fact, a real thing 40 years later, right now. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever they didn't like, they silenced. Because the Twitter files revealed the truth. Every single conservative voice, mine included, we all knew it. We knew what Twitter was doing. In just 1 week of taking the helm, Elon Musk exposed Twitter's collusion with the top DNC brass, with the Biden campaign. Musk confirmed Twitter's dirty little secret of suppression, shadow banning, the targeting of conservatives and Republicans. And the left, well, they just couldn't handle it. They knew then they were going to come after Twitter. Musk's new Twitter, that is. If you can beat them, beat them. But if you can't beat them, destroy them. And in the meantime, distract, deflect, and hurl lies, as always, as Jack Dorsey did to Congress. Elon Musk came out to help save free speech, hold those accountable who prevented transparency and a fair and equal conversation. But Democrats, they had a collective breakdown. They just love the controlled, censored Twitter. They love that. That worked for them. And Mark Zuckerberg was already on board with Meta, Google, and YouTube, owned and operated by the liberal posse known as Silicon Valley. Well, they were all in on the plan, too. It's their speech or no speech at all. Donald Trump, well, out, they said.
That he frankly should be, his Twitter account should be suspended. I think there is plenty of now evidence to suggest that he is irresponsible with his words in a way that could result in harm to other people. And so the privilege of using those words in that way should probably be taken from him.
But doesn't that, I mean, play into certainly the hands of, you know, his, what, I don't know how many Twitter followers he has. I think it's in the range of 60 million who say, well, look, okay, now you know, the rich folks in Silicon Valley are just trying to silence me and taking me off Twitter.
I'm sure that will be said, but we have to also agree that when the President of the United States speaks, her words are very powerful and should be used in a way that is not about belittling, much less harming anyone.
These are her words. When the President of the United States speaks, her words. That was way back when. Really, Kamala? Really? Really? Dream on. So it was Trump out, right? But Ayatollah? How about Ayatollah? You know, the insane Iranian leader, nut job. Well, you can stay and wish death to America. That's totally cool on Twitter, Jack Dorsey's Twitter, you know, because the left and terrorists are kind of tight, as we know. We'll get to Iran in just a bit. But one scandal at a time. So the enemies of free speech are planning and plotting to hurt and kill X right now. They just couldn't handle all of the conservative voices back on Twitter thriving. Once shadow ban, silence, and shut down, all came back into the light, gaining Twitter followers. All of our posts now being seen and heard. And we celebrated Elon Musk for moving things back in the right direction. Oh, and now he's out there campaigning for President Trump. Oh, and that was the tipping point. Snowflake tears, globalist meltdowns. But the hypocrisy shined through, like it always does. MSNBC's Ari Melber flipping out about how Musk will not only allow conservative voices back on Twitter, but actually stifle liberal ones. How does he say that with a straight face? Watch Ari Melber. You'll see what I'm saying.
If you own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate.
Tonight, a deafening silence from the president's Twitter account in his waning days as commander-in-chief. Twitter, run by CEO Jack Dorsey, saying after close review of the president's recent tweets, it banned him.
Or all of its candidates, all of its nominees.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was permanently banned from Twitter.
Hoosier Congressman Jim Banks is suspended from his professional Twitter account.
The senator's account was suspended and his profile picture blacked out.
Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson has been suspended from YouTube. Twitter briefly suspending the accounts of the Trump campaign and White House press secretary.
Or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff.
Social media outlets were quick to limit the spread of the story.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful.
One strategy is to shadow ban so that you have ultimate control. The idea of the shadow ban is that you ban someone, but they don't know they've been banned because they keep posting, but no one sees their content. You just sort of turn off all of the features for them. So like, they still see everything, it's all there. You can like it, you can favorite it, or you can like retweet or whatever. But at the end of the day, no one else interacts with no one else sees what you're doing. So all that data is just thrown away.
And turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election.
We saw the first hints in communications between Twitter executives before the 2020 election, when we read things like flagged by DHS or please see attached report from FBI for potential misinformation.
Elon Musk says this is all to help people because he is just a free speech, philosophically clear, open-minded helper.
So Ari Melber's alarm echoes what we conservatives have been saying for years about big tech censorship. As long as the usual Silicon Valley overlords control all of social media, progressives didn't mind. It was fine for Ari Melber. That worked beautifully for them. But Elon Musk buys Twitter, and suddenly freer speech is a national crisis, as Barack Obama so pointed out a couple years ago.
All we see is a constant feed of content where useful, factual information and happy diversions and cat videos flow alongside lies, conspiracy theories, junk science, quackery, white supremacist, racist tracks, misogynist screeds.
Wow, and so here comes the retribution. It's scandalous. So these leaked CCDH documents expose a deeply disturbing pattern of foreign influence in politics, in U.S. politics, with a British group actively working to undermine American tech companies and shape discourse leading into this year's election. Foreign election interference. But I thought Merrick Garland and Antony Blinken talked about Iran and China and Russia, their election interference. Weird. I don't recall being talked about British interference in our elections. Fascinating. And yet, here we are. And their top priority was to kill Musk's Twitter. I'm quoting. CCDH's founder, a guy called Morgan McSweeney, is a key figure in UK politics, United Kingdom. And now he's advising Democrats, including, you guessed it, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. This is getting good. And what does CCDH really focus on? Quoting, stricter online censorship. Remember, folks, it's not at all a coincidence when you hear the so-called stars of the Democrat Party, the top brass, all echoing the same thoughts. In just the past few months, we've heard Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and others talking about how important it is to stem dangerous misinformation and disinformation. Those two words, misinformation and disinformation, those are just code words for censorship and killing the First Amendment to suit their needs. That's always what it means when the left talks like that. Maybe that's why the Los Angeles Times decided not to endorse Kamala Harris, which, when you think about it, is insane. Maybe they don't want to be associated with a campaign that's so interested in killing freedom of speech. And just for some extra context here, the LA Times endorsed Kamala for Attorney General in 2014, for Senate in 2016, and also endorsed Biden and Kamala Harris in 2020. So the CCDH wants more online censorship and online regulation, because who on the left doesn't just adore more regulation? And Musk's Twitter, X, isn't the only target. They've come after Zero Hedge, the Federalist, and they do so by collaborating with mainstream media to pressure advertisers. Oh, yes. So they attack X's ad revenue, push for stricter regulations and censorship, and voila, their dreams of punishing, even obliterating X and free speech are within their grasp. Thanks to real journalists who aren't afraid to expose these high-level thugs, we're getting yet another wake-up call. Paul Thacker, a former investigator for the Senate, and Matt Taibbi of Twitter Files fame, among others, these journalists are exposing these people on the left for trying to control the world's collective puppet strings and flow of information. Like I said, the mainstream media won't touch this story. If they do, they're afraid that roads will lead back to them, because they always do. Much like the Twitter Files expose how all of these organizations cooperated to stifle conservative voices, and any stories at all or opinions that don't serve the New World Order and their globalist agenda will be shut down. We can't ignore it. These journalists are working hard to expose the leftist, globalist, uniparty agenda, and we here will always shed a light on it. This is the First Amendment, and they're scared to death of it, and we know exactly why that is. Remember, the left's top priority, it's our speech or no speech at all. And I here am committed to exposing their anti-American, anti-constitutional tactics every time we see it. Cut that video, send it out, and share it. All right, let's see where we go and get you up to speed on everything that's going on from last night. First one, take a look at this. This has been going on crazy. There's an issue. The left is saying, and Kamala Harris is saying, that Vanessa Guillen's sister, somehow Trump dissed this woman, a military person, and they're saying that Trump said, oh, we don't want to pay for her funeral. Well, that's all been absolutely debunked. It builds on the lies they've already told, folks. And Jeffrey Goldberg saying that Trump said, now, I'll tell you about Jeffrey Goldberg saying this. I'm quoting Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic. He's saying, Trump once said, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. So Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, someone known to have fabricated stories left and right, the anti-journalist, if you will, in other words, a willing soldier of the Trump derangement syndrome apparatus, comes out with a smear story claiming that President Trump disrespected Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen, who was murdered in 2020. So Goldberg from The Atlantic, using anonymous sources, wrote that Trump disparaged Vanessa Guillen and ordered Mark Meadows not to pay for her funeral. Guillen's sister, Myra, is defending Trump's treatment of her sister and family, and Mark Meadows is denying the story ever happened. Myra not only shut it down, but she even said that she just voted for Trump, and I'm quoting, wow, I don't appreciate how you're exploiting my sister's death for politics. It's hurtful, disrespectful to the important changes she made for service members. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for President Trump today. And yet, despite that fact, CBS Evening News led with the story anyway.
2 weeks from Election Day as the final battleground sprint is underway. Every hour matters for these candidates as they try to reach as many voters as possible in the key states that will decide this election. For Donald Trump, that meant speaking at a roundtable in Florida at his golf club, courting the Latino vote after that campaign stop. A new report that Trump, while president, used the F word to describe a murdered Mexican-American soldier. That story is that Trump scoffed at the price of a funeral he offered to pay for Private Vanessa Guillen, something Trump's team tonight denies.
They led with this. CBS, that's their top story. That's their lead, even though it's been debunked, and even more dispelling of the story right here from someone who was there during the meeting. Take a look. Quote, at President Trump's meeting with the Guillen family because I assisted with the translation that day. President Trump was genuinely concerned about Vanessa Guillen and appalled by the tragedy the Guillen family were enduring. The hit piece is a lie. Jeffrey Goldberg, a lie. For example, President Trump had zero interest in the cameras. He met with the Guillen family privately for 20 minutes and offered the press a gaggle solely if it would assist them in honoring Army Specialist Guillen and raising awareness about her case. And yet, like the dutiful state television soldiers they are, mainstream media ran the blatant smear. Kamala's NBC interview, stayed off the trail. Remember, she was going to do an interview last night or today, I believe it was, and we got pieces of it. Meanwhile, the mainstream, she took the day off yesterday, 14 days left, 2 weeks, 14 days left. So she took the day off to prepare for this interview. And we have a bunch of clips here. And you're going to see, I just want, when I introduce each one of these clips, listen to the question and then listen to how Kamala answers. Like, first clip.
To implement the agenda that you want to implement, you have to win first. You have to win the White House. And right now, there is a big gender gap in this race. Fewer men support you right now than they did President Biden. Some of your allies have suggested there's sexism at play. I wonder, do you think there is sexism at play here?
Let me just tell you something. You've come to my events, and you will see there are men and women at those events, whether it be small events or events with 10,000 people. So the experience that I am having is one in which it is clear that regardless of someone's gender, they want to know that their president has a plan to lower cost, that their president has a plan to secure America in the context of our position around the world. They want a president of the United States who honors our military, who understands the importance of America's leadership around international rules and norms.
So Kamala's asked why she's losing the men's vote and answer with a rehearsed word salad and, as usual, per usual. Remember, listen to the question and listen to the way Kamala answers this. And again, I've been saying this from the very beginning. She's got an airball up here when it comes to the economy, anything to do with money, anything to do with statistics, anything to do with numbers. It's a complete airball up here. Listen.
Then why do you think that's not landing with voters? Because in the numbers, it's the opposite. Former President Trump leads you on this issue.
Well, when I'm out, this is why I'm going out to Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan,
yeah.
Excuse me. Just got in late this morning, actually. But going to 3 states yesterday, and I'm going to continue being on the road. I have to earn the vote.
Why do voters prefer Trump on the economy over you, Cammie? Well, because I've been some places. Again, listen to the question, listen to the answer from the woman who wants to be the president on taxpayer-funded sex changes.
I will move on, but I don't know that I heard a clear answer from you on the issue of gender-affirming care. It sounds like what you're saying is this should be something between trans Americans and their doctors. It feels like that's a long way from we see you and we love you, which was your message to trans Americans in May. What do you want the LGBTQ plus community to know as they're looking for a full-throated backing from you for trans Americans?
I believe that all people should be treated with dignity and respect. Period. And should not be vilified for who they are. And should not be bullied for who they are. And that is a true statement for me my entire career. And that has not changed.
She'll continue to give these non-answers, again, to evade showing the true side of what really isn't up here. Important. Now, Kamala Harris, this is very important. Again, by the way, bravo to this NBC reporter, whoever she is. Let's get her on and talk to her about. She really exposed some vacancies in Kamala's answers and policy. But Kamala was asked about Biden's decline. This is very important because we, for a long time, have said Biden is declining fast, and she's said nothing. And now all of a sudden she acknowledges. But listen to this question and answer.
Can you say that you were honest with the American people about what you saw in those moments with President Biden as you were with him again and again, repeatedly in that time?
Of course. Joe Biden is an extremely accomplished, experienced, and capable in every way that anyone would want if they're president.
And you never saw anything like what happened at the debate night behind closed doors with him?
It was a bad debate. People have bad debates. He is absolutely...
But that's the reason why you're here, and he's not running for the top of the ticket.
Well, you'd have to ask him if that's the only reason why.
What do you think?
I am running for president of the United States. I speak with not only sincerity, but with a real firsthand account of watching him do this work. I have no reluctance in saying that. No, of course I don't.
She just can't answer that question. She can't explain why, if Joe Biden is as competent and astute as she and other top Democrats have claimed again and again, and the media and everywhere, everyone would listen, Kamala can't explain why he's not the candidate right now. And the real answer to that question is simple, because they lied. They covered it up as long as they could. They let Democrat voters place Joe Biden as their candidate only to oust him in the most undemocratic way, a coup, and place Kamala Harris there with exactly 0 votes. A woman who committed treason for nearly 4 years in covering up the true state of Joe Biden, one that all of us can see in plain sight, a man clearly in severe cognitive decline, on the precipice of dementia. Joe Biden slept and napped on vacation. He did that through his whole so-called presidency. Almost 45% of his presidency was on vacation. He called out for a dead congresswoman. He mistakenly referred to Zelensky as Putin. He fell up and down. He never knew exactly where he was. And Kamala Harris can't answer that question because she and all of us know that she engaged in a full-blown treasonous cover-up. Enough of her. Tulsi Gabbard, on the other hand, Democrat, former congresswoman, has come to the right side. Listen.
And it is because of my love for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party. Joining the party of the people, the party of equality, the party that was founded to fight against and end slavery in this country. It is the party of common sense, and the party that is led by a president who has the courage and strength to fight for peace.
And the party that will protect the First Amendment. Okay. How about the other guy on the other side? Very popular former politician. You may know him, and his name is Barack Hussein Obama. I guess he's, I don't know, campaigning for Kamala. I'm not sure, but take a listen.
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter. And I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it.
And he went on. He what's very funny about that? He went on to call Trump an old guy, and he was talking about his age, that he's 82 and he's finished with the term if he's elected. And I just find it really, really rich that Obama and the whole Democrat Party for so many years, 4 years, were saying Biden's okay, and he's clearly not. He's clearly lost. He's gone. But Trump is there. Trump dodges a freaking bullet. Trump gets up and says, I mean, Joe Biden would be dead. If the bullet didn't kill Biden, he would have died on the ground. They couldn't have tackled him that way. But somehow, Barack Obama now says Trump is too old. This is the party that protected the old guy. I don't know why it's so toxic. Why do you ask about, I don't know. I don't know why he would do that. I just don't really get it. Okay, this is interesting. Speaking of the old guy who isn't there, this is kind of an interesting soundbite. Listen to him if you can hear him, but listen to Biden.
This is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant, every single one. Thinks he has a right under the Supreme Court ruling on immunity to be able, if need be, if it was the case, to actually physically eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes to be a threat to him. I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. Politically lock him up.
So he said lock Trump up. For what? Meanwhile, black Americans are now fleeing the Kamala Harris and the Barack Obama party. Watch.
And I just wonder for anybody who heard that, like what they thought of that.
I was deeply offended. And it felt like a moment where it's like, you N-words better get in line and do what we say. And it felt like him as the czar of the Democratic Party coming down to say, go get these N-words in line. And the general tone of it was disgusting. It was abhorrent. I don't respect it. I didn't like nothing about it. And Kamala, 2 days after that, is like, we love our black men. We have programs and things that we're rolling out for them, and she rolled out policy.
Good cop, bad cop. You know, because
I'm tired of the good cop, bad cop. I'm tired of it.
So she's losing. She's losing black men. That's a big problem, and they're very worried about it. All right, one more. You know, this whole idea that the left is going after Elon Musk because he's giving away, I think he's giving away $1 million to each one of his speeches in Pennsylvania for people, again, nonpartisan, nonpartisan. So he'll pick a name out of a hat of people who are signing up to vote, and they'll win $1 million. And the left is saying, oh, that's election interference. He's buying votes. Well, he'll give them the Democrats, too. It's whoever comes in. But in the meantime, I guess this is okay. Take a look at this. Kamala says, or Kamala's group says, breaking, Bill Gates just contributed more than $50 million to organizations supporting Kamala Harris. This is huge. So it's huge and fine when a billionaire gives money to Kamala Harris, but it's not okay when a different billionaire gives money to President Donald Trump. Bill Gates, by the way, is not someone I personally want anywhere near my political campaign. The man is a known globalist, works closely with the likes of the World Economic Forum's Klaus Schwab, and somehow, though he's never ever been elected to office, makes frequent appearances at G20 summits and allegedly made frequent appearances at Epstein's Island and on the Lolita Express right over to Epstein's Island. Boom. All right, Truth Bomb today. This is really disturbing. Take a look at this headline. Rudy Giuliani must turn over New York apartment and his watches in a defamation case. And this came out yesterday that the judge that found Rudy Giuliani guilty of defamation of two women in, I believe, Georgia. They were vote counters or something. Somehow gave them $148 million of Rudy's money, which he doesn't have. And so now they're just bleeding this poor guy dry. Now they want him to turn over his apartment. Like they're going to give these women his apartment and they're going to sell it for whatever they can, supposed to be worth $6 million or something. And they also want his Joe DiMaggio signed jersey. They want his World Series rings. Remember, he was mayor of New York and the Yankees won the World Series and he got rings. Those are very valuable. They're emotional to him. They want him to turn those over as well. And every piece of property this man has, they are going to put this man in bankruptcy for what? Because he said they were cheating in the election? So what? So freaking what? Are you kidding me? There's two women in Georgia that are going to make millions upon millions of dollars because Rudy Giuliani said they cheated? Folks, it's insane. You don't think there's lawfare? Do you think this would happen on the other side? You're out of your mind if you do. Truth Bomb, Bolling. All right, hope you enjoyed the show. Again, subscribe. We need your subscriptions. Get them up there. Let's go. It's growing. It's growing. We're getting out there. A bunch of people on Rumble and YouTube are sharing it. Do it. Take the show, share it, send it out, subscribe. Also, you can call. Toll-free numbers 888-601-0032. Bowling is out for today. I have a couple of we have a big show tomorrow, but also on Friday, I'm going to go sit down with Governor Ron DeSantis. We'll bring a little bit of the excerpts from that. I don't want to tape it because it's a one-on-one meeting, which is going to chat. A lot of things going on in the state of Florida. A lot of proposition going on in the election. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'll bring that to you on Friday and Monday. But in the meantime, Bowling Out tonight. Tomorrow is going to be another big show. There's a lot going on. Joe Rogan's coming up on Friday with Trump. A lot of things happening. Hope to keep you up to speed right here on the show, folks. Bowling Out.